Hey babes, welcome back to Her Reign, Her Rules, the podcast where we stay soft, lead strong, and refuse to shrink for a damn thing. Today's guest is a man who doesn't just talk the talk, he's walked through the fire and built an empire on radical honesty, ownership, deep healing. He's the founder of Lions Not Sheep, which has become more than a brand or a movement. It's a mindset that's more like a middle finger to your comfort zones. He's bold, he's blunt, he's beautifully unfiltered and unapologetically masculine. And that's why I wanted him here today. What I love about this guy is that he's not trying to be relatable. He's trying to be real. He'll talk success, failure, love, rage, faith, and the fight in between, and somehow make you want to burn down your excuses while you're at it. Today, two crowns collide, his forged in fire and mine rebuilt from ashes. We're diving into what it means to live wide open, to feel everything, to lose everything, and then to rise again anyways. Y'all know I'm the queen who believes in grace and grit that can sit at the same table, so let's get into it. This is all about the sacred savage. This is Her Reign, Her Rules, and this is one of the realest voices in the game, Mr. Sean Whalen. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. That's quite the intro. Thank you very much.
I have a
I'm
thing for
flattered.
my intros. I like doing like a little something fun, banter, rapid fire. So
Love it.
awesome. So we're going to start off with the uncomfortable truth and what honesty actually costs you as we're building our empires and healing in life. You've built your reputation off of brutal honesty. And I think there's this shift that people don't really see, right, around performing authentically versus really embodying it. And when you've been silenced long enough, that first round of honesty kind of comes out, you kind of come out swinging, right? We kind of armor up as we start to deliver it. But when did being brutally honest stop being rebellion for you and really be more about self-respect?
That's a big question. A lot of different angles to that. Like when I first shared 12 years ago, the very first post that went viral for me was after my divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And I did something. I was, believe it or not, kind of resistant to social media. My ex-wife had Facebook first, and she's like, there's this thing called Facebook. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like, I'm old school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going through my divorce, and I remember having this platform where I used it the same way to just consume and look at things. And this was funny. I mean, this is 12, 13 years ago, and it was still kind of in its infancy. And to answer your question, I went through this really gnarly time in my divorce and after my divorce. And one of the things that my coaches had me do was start sharing my thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
which was hard for me because here I was, a self-made multimillionaire in my 20s at 31 years old, basically burning my entire world to the ground, from my marriage to my businesses and the whole thing. And I was embarrassed. I didn't want to.
Right.
I didn't want to share openly. Like I felt like a lot of people do, which is you kind of crawl under a rock and you're like, I don't want anybody to see me. I don't want anybody to know. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm ashamed and all of that stuff. And I'll never forget as long as I live, sharing a post one night about picking up and dropping off my kids from my ex. And I did something for the first time that I had never really done. I shared the truth. And I shared this post about how angry I was and sad I was and hurt I was and bitter I was through this divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to bed, and the next morning I woke up and it had 1K next to it, which I was like, I'd get 10 or 20 likes. And,
Right.
And it ended up going completely viral. I went from a couple hundred followers to 30, 40, 50,000 followers over the subsequent weeks. Millions of people saw this post. And I learned two things through that. Number one, how much people resonated with the darkness. It was weird at first because I was like, wait a second, this isn't like the Disneyland picture and all is well. This was like my shit.
Right.
And I was sharing like kind of how big of a dick I was and this darkness that I really wanted to keep hidden.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized millions of people resonated with it. But number two, I felt better. And I realized that like my truth was my truth. And sometimes it was dark. And it wasn't always this glitzy, glamoury, highlight reel, all is well in my world, in my life. And I had this takeaway in that moment where I was like, if the recipe to finding and connecting with millions of people is my truth, and I feel better through this, then this is the path that I'm going to go. And I think what really rocked me and sent me on the path that I'm on is it's like I realized how much I had been hiding most of my life. Like I did what I was told. I had the house, I had the career, I had the thing. I fit in the box. And once I kind of got outside of that and started really sharing me, not what was socially acceptable or to the church or to the neighbors or whatever else, but I was just started sharing my heart and my soul and what I was learning in the light and the dark, sharing my truth. It became not only the bedrock for Lions Not Sheep, for everything that I've done the last decade, but it became the most liberating thing in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that was the catalyst for the rest of your journey, really.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
huge. And you know, truth can be heavy, whether you're sharing it and it's heavy for others to hear, or it's heavy for you to put it out there. You know, and everybody says they want truth, they want that reality until it shows up with receipts and kind of punches them in the face. You know,
Exactly.
and that's the moment you kind of stop curating your life and really trying to like push the realism and stop bleeding quietly, as I say.
Yeah.
I think there's a misunderstanding too that authenticity isn't chaos. You know, I think people think that once you put that out there, everything's just crazy. But really, it's clarity. Has consequences, but it's clarity. And if your truth doesn't cost you something, it's probably just marketing. And especially for somebody like you, when your truth is trending, that's got to be hard to not get caught up in. So that's kind of where we're gonna really kick this off and talk about control versus surrender. As you're putting yourself out there for the world. So what do you think's harder for you, leading people or trusting them?
Oh boy. Trust for sure. And that obviously stems from me. That's a lot of my own internal dialogue and my own internal work. I started really understanding leadership over the last decade in a completely different way than I ever thought about it. I'd read a lot of the books and followed the Dale Carnegies of the world and a lot of these other leaders, and I started understanding that like true leadership is venturing off into places that you've never been. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
the very best leaders, I always say this, the very best leaders have mastered the art of following. And so I started following different people. I started following not necessarily the popular people or what he was doing or she was doing, but you know, the people that were getting the results of deep love, deep compassion, you know, financial abundance. And I started understanding that like I'm very much a man of faith. I have a deep belief in God, and I
love
started
that. Yep.
understanding that like God put me here for a reason. He didn't put me here to be him or do this or whatever. He put me here for a reason, and he gave me this megaphone. He gave me this voice. He gave me this brain. He gave me this heart, and he wants me to explore it and use it. And so for me, leadership became about me and my life and what I was doing. And it wasn't asking people to follow me saying, hey, I have all the answers. Come with me. It was like, no, I'm just going to live my life and show people me.
Yep.
And that became really the anchor for my leadership. But along the ways, I mean, we could go through 100 different stories of trust and this and that and the other. But I really feel like the more you're able to lead yourself, the more you're able to dictate your heart, your mind, regardless of what anybody says, regardless of whether it's socially acceptable, you become a real powerful leader. And when you start trusting yourself above all else, and your connection with God, that really is a liberating place to be.
Yeah. Oh, I like that answer. Love that answer. So as we talk about control and surrender, you know, I think a lot of people think control is going to keep me safe. If I can control this situation, if I can control this relationship, this business, this whatever, you know, that's what keeps me safe. So I think that's, you know, that the way that kind of flows into relationships and love, you know, that's where sometimes you really start to add up the cost and it can get, you know, more complicated. You know, for you, you can dominate a room, you can run a company, you can lead a movement, but what happens when the enemy's in your own head, you know? Most people talk about triggers like they're flaws. And I think that they're more checkpoints. That's kind of how I look at them. So what's one of those triggers that still kind of sneaks up on you?
Well, I have a ton of them. Obviously, pride, ego, fear, all of these things. I realize that is when you're talking about specifically like with relationships and a lot of this, especially with control. As a man,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're programmed to do.
Right.
We're programmed to go out to hunt, to provide, to protect, like control our family, control where we're going, where my kids are going to be athletes, my relationship is going to be connected, the bank account is going to be overflowing. Like we want to control a lot of these things, which isn't necessarily bad. I
Right.
mean, this is man taking ownership of his life, but there's a
Leading,
very interesting
protecting. Yep.
dichotomy happening where, Mel Robbins wrote the book Let Them.
Mm-hmm.
And in going through a
Love it.
divorce, that book really helped me see things in a different way that I'd never actually seen before. Because as a man who chose to get remarried at 42 years old, I really wanted and had this massive vision of where I wanted us to go, what I wanted us to be. And there was a lot of control there. There was a lot of like, look, do we trust each other? Yes. Do you trust me? Awesome. Grab your hand. Like, let's fucking go. Let's get on the rocket ship and go. And I realized that I had a lot of things that I wanted and that I saw and that I was trying to bring a person along with and get us on the same page. And it caused me so much contention and friction because
Mm-hmm.
I had the control. I was like, look, this is what it is. This is where we're going. And realizing that not everybody is meant to number one be in your life forever, but number two, you have to let people be who they are. And I
Absolutely.
think this is a real big struggle for men. I'll openly admit it. Like I still struggle with this because I am such a fiercely connected guy to love and to life, and like I want to squeeze. I want everything. I want it all,
I love
right?
that.
But I
Yep.
want it in a way that's like I know that I'm capable of building it, and I think allowing myself to step back and say the businesses and the people around me specifically, they also have agency. They
Mm-hmm.
also have their own capacity to make decisions and to do this or to do that. And me finding that internal peace has really been one of the more liberating things for me in not relinquishing control, but controlling me in my life, controlling my emotions, controlling my fears, my triggers. My triggers are my responsibility, not hers, not the
Right.
markets, not the businesses. And that's been really one of the cool experiences for me over the last couple of years, is deeply connecting to that and understanding that the greatest control that I have is over me.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that I'm in connection with me and trust me, the people around me are going to do what they're going to do.
Right.
And it's a really liberating place.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually working on a little like mini series right now about domestic violence and narcissistic abuse and things like that. And one of the first things in the first episode is all about the body keeping the score and your triggers, and afterwards, really having to work through those moments when a partner, may trigger you. And it might not even be that they're doing anything negative. It could be that they're
Right.
just that real person in your life that's helping you confront those triggers and, work through them. So it's interesting how the body keeps the score though in that aftermath. But you're right. Once you can get through that and figure out how to self-regulate and work through those moments, it is very liberating.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you feel it, that spike or that fire, I call it like the hangover of chaos. What's your move? Do you shut down? Do you speak up? Do you walk away? How do you handle those moments when those triggers come up?
Well, if we go to, I have a hard time with some of these terms
Sure.
nowadays
Okay.
because if you don't like somebody instantly, they're a narcissist.
Right.
I
Understood.
didn't understand the conversation, so you must be gaslighting me. I mean, these things get thrown around and with social media now. Everybody's a narcissist. Everybody's gaslit.
It's
Everybody's being
awful.
abused because we had a hard conversation. That's not abuse. We
No.
just had a hard conversation. And
No.
I have a very personal connection to this based off of what I've experienced.
Sure.
But for me, I realized that the fire's not bad. And this is something that I talk to men about a lot, is the fire is actually what's given to you, in my opinion, by God. That's what allows you to go out into the mountains and hunt and bring back food for your family. A lot of people have this thing confused, like, well, I could just go down to the store and whatever else. And we haven't been in our DNA, we haven't really allowed ourselves. And again, we can go masculine, feminine, and all
Sure.
this other
Yep.
bullshit. Like a man's deep connection is to that fire, to the protection.
Yep.
It's not bad and it's not wrong. And I feel like now men understanding that being call it shamed, call it being blamed or whatever else. I think there's a lot of men stepping into that going, look, that's not bad.
Right.
Now, how do I show up in work and in production and also with my family? Because I truly believe women don't want a passive man. Women don't want a man who's just like, oh, well, you know, if the neighbor comes and robs our house, I'll just like let him take it. Because women want fire. Women want that drive. Women want that intensity.
100%.
Exactly.
100%.
And I feel like when you have two people that understand that and truly understand, like when I understand the femininity and I understand the softness, like I have the ability as a man to literally, I mean, I was just hunting last week, go up into the mountains, kill an animal, bring 200 pounds of meat home for my family, but then also take a shower and then slow dance with my woman in the kitchen.
I love that. And that's, I mean, I think...
I feel like right now there's a really interesting thing happening in our culture where we're all trying to regulate ourselves. And when you introduce this thing and it's constant, incessant messaging, good, bad, narcissist, gaslighting, da 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 da, it's kind of like it's heightening us, and we're living in this frequency of like constantly. And so to answer your question, like when you can regulate that and understand that the fire's not bad, it's what you do with the fire.
Absolutely.
And a woman's triggers or fears are not bad, it's what you do with them. I think that's a real fascinating and really powerful game that we're all playing. And what I'm experiencing personally in this stage of my life and as a coach, there's people that are stepping into this conversation and there's people that are running away from it.
Yep.
And the people that are stepping into it are really going deep in life and understanding themselves better, human connection better, relationships better. And then there's people that are just running from it, labeling it, saying narcissist, da 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 da, and they just bypass these real deep emotions. But to me, it's a beautiful dance. Yep. It's a beautiful game.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the difference between somebody who's solution driven and who just wants to identify the problem, right? Because I'm very solution driven. You know, I was in my previous relationship, I was in survival mode, and I didn't even really realize it until afterwards, but I was in survival mode. I took care of everything. House, bills, finances, you know, you name it, planning things, taking care of his kids. Like, I took care of all of that. And I didn't realize how hardened I had become until I started, and I dipped my toe back into the dating world. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this. You know, it was almost a decade with this guy, and it was very interesting to make that transition, but really encouraging once I started doing the work. And was able to soften. And you're right. It's like, I do want that man that can protect and provide. And I don't mean financially necessarily or whatever, but I'm okay following a man that shows me he's worth leading, you know? And that's kind of it for me at this point. So, presence is the name of the game, I guess.
Yeah. I think presence and self-awareness too.
Yeah.
I think that, and again, we could go down the rabbit hole on this one, but understanding that, especially in union, especially in connection, like your triggers and your trauma, your past is not your partner's.
Right.
It's not their responsibility to fix you, cure you, or anything. That's your job. And in my opinion, and this is something that, again, I've been going through this experience, like a really good partner is going to help you bring out a lot of the things that you've been hiding, masking, lying. And then it's going to be your job to take this new information, this new exposure, if you will, and figure out the dance with them. And so it takes a man who's a fixer, problem solver, to say, hey, I don't need to fix you or heal you or change you. I'm going to create the space where I can listen to you and show you that you're safe to be whatever, and vice versa.
Right.
When a man goes into his place and he's like, look, I'm getting my face kicked in at work, I'm losing millions of dollars, whatever. There's a woman there. There's not like, oh shit, escape, panic,
right.
You know,
pull the shoe.
Whipcord, I'm going to run.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But she's like, no, I'm in this, and I'm going to hold space and show him that the home and me is safe for him to bring these things to. I think it's a really incredible experience. I think the human experience, the human interaction, especially in union, it's just fucking brilliant.
I agree. And it's like when you come at it from this healed place or healing place, it really can be so freaking powerful and fun. And it's a completely different experience, you know?
Totally agree.
Yeah. So we've talked about power, peace, love, and all of that, but I want to talk about kind of what's underneath it all. And you talk a lot about your faith. It's very important to you. I've kind of rediscovered my faith more recently. I grew up in a religious household, kind of went through my phase of questioning and being more spiritual than in my faith, but rediscovering that a lot. But I think that's the faith is what kind of keeps us upright when everything's falling apart. So I want to talk a little bit about that and your faith. And not this hashtag version that everybody's preaching about online, and because I think
Sure.
I hate all of that fluff. But it's the real true faith. So how has your relationship with faith changed now that you've built everything that you once maybe prayed for?
That's a great question. I grew up Catholic. I was Catholic, an altar boy, the whole thing. My mom was Mormon. My dad was Catholic. Interesting dynamic as a youth. My parents split up, and my brother and I went with mom, and then joined the Mormon Church, served a Mormon mission, did the whole deal. So I've had a really cool religious experience in life. After my divorce 13 years ago, I kind of closed all the books. We talk about Jesus went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. And I'm like, all right, I've read the Bhagavad Gita. I've read the Book of Mormon. I've read the Doctrine and Covenants. I've read the Bible, the Old Testament, New Testament, the Quran, the whole thing. I've studied religion extensively for 2 decades. And I kind of closed all of the books and was like, I want to go on a journey with God. I want to know who Christ really was. I got to a really interesting place where I realized that, this aspect of faith isn't a fear. Religion is fear-based. If you do this, you're going to go to hell. If you do this, you're going to go to hell. Do this, you'll go to heaven. Do this. As little kids, it's what we're programmed. You know what I mean? You almost feel like God is this dude who's just going to kick the shit out of you. And you're bad, 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 bad.
Don't sin.
Maybe, hopefully, you're not a total asshole and you might go to heaven.
Right.
It's like, I don't really know if I vibe with that, And what's been really cool for me is as I've started exploring my depth and the depths of the universe and the depths of God, we read these scriptures about, worlds without number and endless and miracles and things. And I started really putting my faith in not knowing versus this is what it is. This is right. This is the thing. This is the deal. And man, it's opened my heart. It's opened my mind into such a beautiful way because I realized, just as a quick side note, I'm fascinated by space, and there's a great documentary on Netflix about the James Webb Telescope. I encourage everybody to go watch it. Okay. Long story short, I'm old enough to know that they've got the Hubble telescope has been like the big telescope for the last 3 decades or whatever. Well, the James Webb Telescope is 10,000 times more powerful. And to make a long story short, the documentary is fascinating. It costs like $12 billion to do this one telescope. They shot it up into space where nothing had been, and they pointed it where nothing had ever seen. And nothing, I mean like science and us as human beings.
Okay.
And it was something like 800 new galaxies were discovered. Well,
Holy
to put that
crap.
in context, we still haven't discovered the edge of our own galaxy.
Right.
So then you're kind of like, well, how the fuck does that work? So for me, I'm in a place where I realize, the more I think I know, the more I realize I don't know. And the more I dive into what God really is and what he really wants from me, it's to just keep moving forward and asking questions. I'm 46 years old and I ask more questions than an 8-year-old. Little 8-year-old's like, why dad? Why dad? Why dad? I'm like, well, because I'm the adult. And I'm like 46 going, well, shit, tell me more about this. I don't really know. What does this mean? And what does that mean? And it's a really cool experience because I feel like us, as call yourself a Christian, whatever you are, it's almost like we've been programmed with all of these things that are actually keeping us from exploring God.
Yep.
It's like, well, no, this is the only church and this is the only book and this is the only thing. And I'm like, that seems kind of limiting.
Right.
And so for me, faith is this walk where I'm constantly humbled. I'm constantly taught something new. I'm constantly opening up new levels of my heart, of my mind. I mean, you look at pain or frustration or divorce or whatever else is all of these cataclysmic moments. And it's like, it's an invitation to a whole new you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like finding galaxies make you question everything you think you know.
Right.
And that should be the driving force into discovering more versus, well, I don't know, so it's going to just be this thing. So for me, again, I love this conversation. I can spend hours talking about this, but
yeah,
I really feel like people have been programmed to live like in this one-dimensional reality.
Yep.
And they're terrified to ask more questions, to
Right.
step outside of this, to look out past what they think they know.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that's where the real beauty is
Absolutely.
in not knowing.
Well, and I think that's such a great parallel between that documentary and exploring your faith. And I think
Yeah.
that there's also room for people to have a modern version of faith where there can be this mix of spirituality in a sense that like the universe and paying homage to her and also to a God or a higher power. And I think people, as you were saying, it's like, it's got to be this, and this is all I know, and this is how I grew up. And it's, well, no, you've got to do what works for you, just like in anything in life.
Sure.
As long as you're the base of the faith that you are practicing, as long as you still hold true to that, I think there's different avenues that you can explore within that, that works for you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of wild too that like everybody wants proof too of that faith, and they give up or quit kind of quickly when it's not giving them what they want, and that to me says they're not really understanding what faith is or what
Right.
praying really does for you or that belief. Do you ever think that God gives you exactly what you wanted just to show you it wasn't what you needed? Or do you think it's more that unanswered prayer, unanswered want route?
I think both. I
Yeah.
think he absolutely gives you what you want. I believe that we're expansive creatures. We have endless capacity. We have endless capability. I mean, we can bring human beings into the world. We can build businesses. We can literally like shape economic. I mean, we have such tremendous power as human beings, and I feel like I'm constantly praying. Like when I used to pray for these things. All right, God, I need this deal and I want to do this. And I got to a place where I was like, look, my prayer is very simple. Like, put the people in front of me that you need me to meet and put the words in my mouth that you need me to speak. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep walking. And I feel like God gives you things and gives you experiences and gives you opportunities, maybe that you prayed for, maybe that you didn't pray for. But these are all lessons. There's a lesson in all of it. Right? There's a
Absolutely.
lesson in divorce. There's a lesson in becoming a millionaire. There's a lesson in becoming a parent. There's a lesson in not knowing. There's a lesson in breaking your arm. There's a lesson in losing everything. There's a lesson in death. There's a lesson in birth. And I feel like when you can kind of shift your mindset and get to a place where you're like, when you have a deep belief in God, he's going to give you things that you might hate, that you might be
Yep.
like, fuck this. I don't want this. I want this. But he's like, no. I'm going to give you this until you can learn this lesson, because if I gave you that, you would fumble it. You wouldn't know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put you over here and you're going to suck pond water for a while and get your face kicked in. And if you choose to learn and experience and become stronger, then I'm going to give you this.
Give you
And
this
I love
next level. Yeah.
that. I
I
love
think
it.
it can be a spiral too, and at every level as you work your way up or work your way down, you're given the same lesson in a different environment or a different context or with a new person until, as you said, until you learn that lesson that you're really supposed to learn, whether it's, karmic things, past lives,
Right.
this go around. But yeah, I think the same thing, and then eventually
Totally agree.
you get to that next level.
Well, I think a lot of people live in just to touch on that, like I think a lot of people live in frustration and anger
Mm-hmm.
with God, or they talk to God when they need him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so it's kind of like I've just visioned God like he's just sitting up there watching me and you and everybody else like fumble our way through life.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, okay, hello, I'm here. One of my favorite pictures of Christ is the one where he's standing at the door,
Mm-hmm.
and there's the really beautiful part of this and powerful part of this picture is there's no doorknob on it.
Okay.
And so when you step back and look at it, the doorknob is on the other side, which is where we're standing. And so he's at the door waiting for us to open the door. And
Mm-hmm.
when we open the door, we might not like what we see. We might not like what's there. But that's really the beauty of the faith and the walk is he's going
Right.
to give you shit that you're not going to like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take you stepping into a place of humbleness to learn the lesson that you need to keep going. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been blessed to teach and coach tens of thousands of people. And the entire coaching group that I started came out of one of the darkest periods of my life. And so I've been blessed to be able to relate to people and talk to people in
Yeah.
this place of darkness.
Yep.
That's a gift. That's a beauty. I had
It
to go
is.
through that shit to understand it, to know it, to feel it,
Absolutely.
to get myself out of it. I had to get myself out of a suicidal state. I was not happy with life. I didn't want to live for a while.
Hmm.
And so I know that. I feel that. I know what that's like, and so I can speak to that. And I feel like if people started really taking their shame and understanding that it's a gift, it not only liberates you, but it allows you to become a spokesperson,
Yep.
a voice for these things.
Well, as you're saying that, that's exactly what's going through my head. It's obviously why you do what you do. It's what prompted me to start this podcast. I've been called since I was little. I've always been called the Silver Lining Queen. I'm positive to the point of my own detriment sometimes. I should be a little more of a realist around certain things, but for the most part, it served me really well in my life. And going through my everything with my past relationship, that's what really prompted me. I've been through a lot of really traumatic things in my life, lost a lot of really close people, had a good upbringing, great family and all of that. But other pieces of my life have been really challenging. And so that's kind of, as you said, you've been through the fire. You are an authority on some of these things that you get to talk to people about. You're not just preaching it because you read about it in a book. You've lived it. And that's what I think is so impactful and powerful. And it's kind of why I'm doing this now. And I'm just a little guy. I'm starting out, but I've already gotten a lot of really great
Don't say
feedback.
that.
And
Don't say that. Don't say I'm a little guy. One
well,
person, your podcast could reach one person and change the entire course of humanity.
and I've already got
Not
some
little.
feedback from people that have said, how much it's reaching them and helping them. So I'm super proud of it. And but I wouldn't be able to do this had I not been through some of these things. So I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, so we've gotten pretty deep, and now we're going to do something a little more fun as we get ready to wrap this up. So with all of my guests, I play this game called Soft or Savage. Throw out a little bit of a hypothetical, semi-related to our theme today, and I'm just kind of curious what your reaction is.
Great.
All right, somebody you love goes quiet when they're overwhelmed. Do you give them space, which I would say is the soft side, or do you show up anyways and help them?
Both.
Okay.
Knowing who the person is, knowing what they need. Hopefully I've built connection with them where they say, hey, when I go quiet, I need fill in the blank.
Sure.
And then I'm self-aware enough and connected enough to give them exactly what they need, not what I need or what I would want.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I think that communication and those boundaries are important in any relationship, friendship, anything in life. All right. So you're out in public and your partner calls you out at the dinner table in front of friends. Do you keep it classy and table it? Or do you serve a calm but deadly truth right there at the table?
I'll serve an even better answer to this. I wouldn't be with somebody who called me out in a negative way in front of people.
Boom. Love that. Great
I would have
fucking
a
answer.
partner that would say, hey, behind the scenes, like, I respect you, I honor you. Here's something that bothered me. That's the type of partner that I'll have.
Yep. I love that. All right. So you meet somebody that feels electric, but you know they're going to wreck your peace. Do you walk away like a grown adult, soft, or do you lean in for the lesson and maybe a little fun and go savage for a bit?
My peace is the most important thing to me.
Love it.
I walk.
I think it sounds like the things that you've been through, the things I've been through, I'm at that same place. I don't want to deal with the bullshit anymore. I need peace.
Well, and I think when you get your for lack of better words, when you get your shit together and you know what you want. I think this is a big problem in dating nowadays is people are like, they don't know what their negotiables are. They don't have boundaries. Like, look, you could be the most stunning creature on planet Earth and have so many of the things that I love and think and want. But if you don't believe in God and don't want to have a relationship with God, that's a hard pass for me. I don't care how hot you are. I don't care how cool you are. I don't care how much money you have. And I think a lot of people are doing this wrong, especially in dating, is they're like, well, I don't fucking know. And so they're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And this is where the self-discovery, when you know who you are, when you know exactly what you want, when you know exactly what you're the direction that you're going, you're going to say no more than you say yes. And that's not bad. That's not anger. That's not anything. That's fucking clarity.
Absolutely.
That's peace within yourself. So anybody that's not going to add to that or align with that, it's a hard no.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. All right. So you're maybe seeing somebody and they say, I just need some time. do you wait with grace and give them that opportunity? Or do you say, cool, I'll be busy healing and doing my own thing somewhere else and going savage?
I would say, what exactly do you mean?
Get some clarification around what space
You
means.
get,
Yeah.
man, communicate. We fuck more things up. Like lack of communication starts wars.
Mm-hmm.
Abundance of communication ends it.
Yep.
Like if I'm with someone and we're dating and we have communication all the time, I learn their patterns,
Yep.
they learn mine. And if somebody was like, hey, I don't know if I'm into this right now or I want some time, good.
Cool.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
respect that. I honor that. I'm going to continue on my path and going where I'm going. But the truth is, and this is where you get even deeper,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be dating somebody that didn't know what they wanted.
Sure. Absolutely.
If we have the communication and saying, hey, are you into this? Yes, I'm into this. I want marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want casual.
Right.
And so for me, I don't date people or go out with people that are like, I'm just here for casual. That you're just not my jam.
Right.
So I'm not going to be with somebody or dating somebody or communicating with somebody that's not going to be aligned in the same way. And if it got to a point where they're like, I just don't like you. I just don't think this is heading in the right direction. I want some space or I want to go date somebody else. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. I'm with you. I'm dating with intent at this point in my life, you know.
100%.
And there's some room for, you know, adjustment there a little bit, but you know, I think you're right. It's okay, I need some space or I need some time. Okay, well, why? Hey, I run 2 businesses. I have kids. I need this week to handle my shit, right? I got to do some things. That to me is okay. As long as there's that communication, let's have a touch point. Let's have a way to reconnect this weekend or whatever. That's fine. But yeah, just I need space without any context. That's,
Right.
you know, it's kind of a hard pass for sure.
To add to that, just if I might, and
Of course.
I know that you probably have a lot of female listeners. Like,
Mm-hmm.
in my marriage, one of the things that we go to therapy every week. I still go to therapy every week. I've got coaches and whatever else. Like when I would find myself in those fire moments, like you talked about,
Mm-hmm.
like I know myself well enough and am aware enough where I would say, look, nothing good is going to come from this moment right now. Like I'm ready to burn the whole fucking thing down. It's not you. It has nothing to do. It's just where I am emotionally. We got to a place where I'd say, look, I'm going to take off for an hour and go smoke a cigar.
Yep.
I'll be back in an hour and we'll have this conversation. And our therapist was like, this is exactly what he needs to go do him to get his mind right, to calm, to center, the whole freaking thing. And it became kind of a hard situation because I was dealing with and had a partner who was avoidant.
Okay. Yep.
And so there were a lot of the times where, you know, I'd leave and then the phone, bzz, 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 and it was like, look, I need this space. I need this moment. And it's clearly defined. 1 hour. I will be back in 1
Right.
hour.
Yep.
This is what will happen. And so I feel like when you can get to a place with a partner, but more importantly with yourself, where it's like, look, I'm not going down to the bar to go get hammered. I'm going to go for a drive, smoke a cigar, I'll be back.
Yep.
And when you can have that dynamic, like I have a lot of respect for people that are able to handle themselves that way and process those things, because if my partner said, look, I need an hour. I don't want to talk to you. I have nothing to say. We're good. I need an hour. I think the most loving thing you can do is honor that.
Absolutely.
But that's where our brains go, oh shit, the world's on fire. The whole thing's falling apart. And it's like, no, if you're actually really good with you and you're good with your partner and you communicate and trust them and honor them, they're telling you, I need an hour. I'll be back. Awesome. Now, if you break your word and you don't show back up, or it's 6 hours later, or you come back hammered as shit, it's a different conversation. But I think it's a really beautiful opportunity for us to like really handle our own emotions and things and learn that communication.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, communication for me is the one of the most important things when I am ready to get into another serious relationship. That's going to have to be, that's my safety, is communication. If you just, you know, we talk about attachment styles. I talk about them a lot on this show. Talk about, you know, the love languages, knowing that about your partner, but also being able to share your own and your own boundaries. But that's, you know, you talk about that promise to come back to a conversation or a discussion. That's one of the things that I learned in therapy is yeah, you need to give your partner a promise to come back to it. You can't just leave it open-ended, but it's actually a really, really healthy way to handle conflict or a serious discussion, you know?
And if you're wanting to build trust, For anybody listening to this, men or women, if you want to build trust, honor that.
Yep.
Like
100%.
let them, Mel Robbins, let them go take an hour
Yeah.
and handle their shit.
Yep.
Whatever they got to do to get their mind right, their heart right, calm down, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
and trust them.
Yep.
And then that's how you build trust, is you allow your partner to have these moments and these experiences. And then when they do come back in an hour and they are calm, and we can have this soft, connected communication and conversation that a woman would want, it's like, oh shit, my man was ready to burn everything down. He went and took an hour, and now we had this great conversation. Dude, is there anything more beautiful than that? Is there anything more powerful than that?
Oh, I love that. All right, just a couple more, and then we're going to wrap this up.
Cool.
All right, so you realize you've been the one that's emotionally unavailable. Are you going for the soft apology or savage retreat for some self-work?
The apology followed by work.
Like it.
Showing back up. I'm not going to tell you that I figured it out. I'm going to show you that I figured it out. I'm not going to tell you I've changed. I'm going to show you that I've changed.
Actions and words need to align, people. I say that all the
100%.
time.
100%.
All right. Let's see. Let's pick one more. Let's see.
Give me the good one. Go for the jugular.
All right. A client or a follower publicly misquotes you. Are you going for soft correction or savage mic drop post? I know you're all about your posts, your powerful posts, which I absolutely fucking love.
Oh, I have been misquoted more times than I know what to do with by huge periodicals, the whole thing. I've gotten to a place where I realize that I don't have anything to prove. My results, my life is all of the evidence that I need. So
Ooh, I love
I
that.
have been misquoted a ton. And I just don't even care anymore, to be totally honest with you.
I think that's a good place to get to. You know, it's yes, you care about what you put out there for the right people, but when it's not received well, that's on them. That's not a you problem. That's a them problem. You know.
Well, I think too, we're in a day and age where anybody can say anything that they want, you know. And maybe this is another podcast that we do, because as I was navigating this divorce, a lot of things were said that weren't true.
Yep.
And it went public, and there's been the little busy bees love to get
It's the
involved in
worst.
that shit.
It's the
You spread
worst.
all that.
Yeah.
And what I've learned through this process is that, number one, patience is not a virtue. Like when God was giving out patience, I skipped that day. I was like, nope, I'm going over here, right? But I've had to learn patience in navigating this process and realizing that, you know, my results and who and what I am speak for themselves. And a lot of times we want to fight and jump in and go, no, I didn't say that. Nah, this isn't true. And especially when you're sitting on a pile of receipts to prove what they said wrong, you know, it's really a beautiful situation to be able to step back and say, I have nothing to prove. Like if they want to talk shit about me, let them.
Great.
I love this book. I
love it.
I love Mel Robbins. I think she's amazing. I love the transparency of her and her husband. I think she's fucking great. I would love to do a podcast with her one of these days, but that book really changed things for me in a way where I understood, like, people are going to say whatever they want to say about me.
Yep.
And if I go after every single person who says some dumb shit, including people that are close to me or whatever else, like that's all I'll spend all my days doing.
Right.
But what I have control over and what I want to be doing is spending my time building versus defending.
Yep.
And I think the more you build and the more light you shine, it's not hard to see who heals and who does real work by the results that they have in their life.
Yeah. I love that book. I read it, about a year ago, maybe, not quite. I actually gave it to my ex to read because I thought he would find some value in it, even though we weren't in the best place. But I think everybody that I've told about that book, I fucking love that book. It was a huge perspective shift for me.
And it's a beautiful book.
Imagine the energy we'd be putting into if we chased every little lie and every little thing that a ex's family might say, or an ex, or old friends, or oh my gosh. Yeah.
This is hard though, and I understand this very, very, very deeply, especially in this season. Anybody who's listening to this that knows me or knows of me or that's followed my journey and the marriage that I'm now ending, saw really how public everything was, and it was a very interesting situation because there have been some really incredible things said about me, and a lot of it became really hard to believe. And I know that as time's gone on over the last 18 months, as I've been navigating this, I really feel strongly that like that was one of my big lessons
Yeah.
as a man is like I wanted to go scorched earth. I was like, oh really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna share the receipts. You're
got
gonna say this,
receipts.
and I got black, and it was one of those things where I had some really good people around me and some great therapists and some great friends that were like, look,
Mhm.
bro, just keep healing. Your responsibility is to heal, not to
Yep.
defend. And with time, the truth always comes out. And that's one thing I think
Absolutely.
really a lot of people need to step into is understanding that the truth always comes out.
Yep.
It always does. Not when we want it, not when you and I want it,
Of course not.
but when it's time.
Yeah.
And this is again, you talked earlier about like the lessons and the refining, and a lot of this shit sucks.
Mhm.
It sucks to sit in a place where your name, your business, your family, your brand is literally being dragged through the mud,
Mhm.
and you're sitting on the receipts. But the flip side is like, yeah, but if I'm just constantly in a state of defending, then what am I doing for my own heart and
Right.
my own soul, my
Right.
own growth? And so I kind of chose to do the best that I could to just push all of that to the side and
Yep.
stay on my path of growing and healing. And I'm so glad I did because I'm in the best place emotionally,
Right.
psychologically, spiritually that I've ever been. And I'm grateful for the relationship. I'm grateful for the shit that's been
Yeah.
talked. I'm grateful for the rumors and the lies and all this other stuff because it pushed me into a place of growth that could only come through that.
Yep.
And so now I'm kind of being on the other side of this. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like
We
the
talked about
results are all the truth that needs to be said.
exactly. Well, we talked about that earlier, that the lesson that's given to you, you know, by whoever that puts it in front of you. And
Right.
yeah, you had to go through that to shape you into the person you are now, who is even more powerful, more healed, more, you know, in this place that you can give more to your clients, your family, your friends. You had to go through that, and it sucks. But I mean, Sean, you say it all the time. You put the most authentic version, the real version. I shouldn't even say the most authentic. You put the real version of you out there all the time. And as people follow you, you know, I've been following you for a couple of years now. People do get a sense of who you are, and they can see through the bullshit and the little things that start to filter in that really don't align with anything you ever say or do. People
Right.
hopefully will start realizing, okay, well, that's over here. That has nothing to do with this man and his message. So keep doing what
It's
you're
hard
doing.
to do, though.
It is.
It's hard to do. And I
hard.
know, I mean, the statistics are 51% of marriages are going to end in divorce. So half of the people listening to this have either been divorced or will get divorced.
Yeah.
And these are lessons that I'm learning that I want to be able to help people with and share.
Sure.
And it's hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's much easier to lose money and to go make it back again than it is to go through a really tumultuous divorce and deal with betrayal and deal with these things. It's in my opinion, it's the hardest thing I've ever gone through.
Yeah.
It's the most challenging thing that I've ever dealt with. And I realized that I had two choices. I can bypass all this blame. I can be the guy that's just, you know, bitching and moaning and crying and trying to defend himself.
Yeah.
Or go heal.
Yep.
And what's fascinating to me, and take this for what it's worth, is over the last couple of months, like there've been more and more people coming into my world, into my space, saying, I see now.
Yep. Oh, that's awesome.
Like I wasn't sure at first, but now I see. And that's those little nuggets that come to you. I think it's kind of God's way of being like, look, man, just stay here. I got you.
Keep going.
I got you. In those days where you're like, okay, are we done now? Can we please be done?
I've learned the lesson. I've learned it. I swear.
No.
Stop.
Yeah. He's like, I just imagine him sitting up there laughing like,
Yeah.
no, keep going. You're like, damn it.
All
Fine.
right. A little bit more.
What about now? What about now? And you really get to a place where you're like, man, I'm good.
Yeah.
I got nothing to prove here.
Yeah.
My life is great. My heart is great. I feel really good. I have nothing but love and appreciation for the periods of time and the seasons and the people. God bless you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
How good does it feel to get to that place? It's like I felt like my whole entire body just let out this sigh of relief when I finally got to that place and anchored in that and was like, okay, fine, let them. And
it is.
Yeah.
It's. I still have my moments, and I think you
Of
always
course.
will.
Of course.
You know, when you have deep love and deep connection for a person, it's hard to just. There's not. I don't know how some people do it. Like they just. You don't just have a light switch you flip off. Like it's real, deep emotional work.
Yep.
And it's beautiful, man. And I really feel like I want to pay homage really quick to some of the guys because I think a lot of guys get a bad rap. And look, social media is what it is, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Men, women. I know that there's a lot of men right now that are facing a lot of these things, that are going through a lot of these things, that are choosing the right path, that are choosing this evolution.
Hmm.
You hear all the time, where's all the good men at and the whole thing? And yeah, I get it, whatever. But like both men and women, I feel like there's a lot of people that are stepping into this bigger game. And so to me, tip of the hat to all of you that are facing yourself,
Yep.
owning your shit, looking at what your part is of every facet of life. Like I always
Yep.
tell people, I'm like, look, I can tell you how much you love and honor your body. Just take your shirt off and let's see. Like that's the result of what you've been doing for the last 6 or 12 months, right?
Yep.
And so I feel like right now, like there's a lot of shit talking on people and men and women and relationships, and it's really easy to do that. But I want to be on the other side and say, dude, hats off to all of you that are doing the work.
Yeah.
Hats off to all of you that have turned in, to your own heart, your own soul, your own accountability versus like being obsessed and compulsively fed by
Yeah.
propaganda and bullshit on why you should be mad, why you should blame, why you should, do
Hmm.
whatever else. Like it's a beautiful thing, man. There's a lot
Yeah.
of really powerful people out there that are doing really powerful work.
I agree. And I think we have to be very careful of that line of like, oh, where are all the good men at? Because they are out there. They are doing the work, just like every other, thing in life. It's all the way, it's the perspective that you have on it. So we need to widen that lens a little bit and really see that there are
Really
good
agree.
people out there in general doing the work to be in healthy relationships and friendships. And so I think
Amen.
that's important to say for sure. All right. So I have a journal prompt I like to throw out to my listeners. I'm going to throw one out. If you have one that you want to add, by all means. So guys, you know what time it is. Grab your journals and your pens. So my question for all of you today to think about is, what do I need from a partner to feel safe to surrender and maybe soften a little bit? Name 5 specifics. They can be, behavioral, emotional, erotic, whatever they are, but name 5. Write about them, deep dive on those. And Sean, do you have any you want to add?
Write down in big, bold letters, what do I want?
Hmm.
What do I want?
Like
And
that.
answer that. It might take you a minute, it might take you a year to answer that question.
Hmm.
But I feel like the most liberating thing that you can do is get radically transparent with yourself and honest with yourself.
Yep.
I've asked tens of thousands of people this question. I've asked school teachers, I've asked millionaires, I've asked billionaires the same question. And it's one of the most beautiful, profound questions because no one can answer it for you. And
Hmm.
when you
Yeah.
peel back all of your layers of ego and pride and bullshit, well, this is what I want because this is what the family and the mom and the dad and the business. No, what the fuck do I really want?
Hmm.
Like, what do I really want?
For
When you
you.
get
Yep.
clear on that,
Yep.
oh my God, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. All right. So tell us what's going on in your world right now. Where can everybody find you? I hear whispers of a book.
Book
Tell
number
me.
2 is in process. I was really blessed the other day to meet Mark Victor Hansen,
Hmm.
who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yep.
He has given me some ideas on doing a re-release of my first book and adding to that. So
Okay.
book number 2 is in process. I've got an amazing grandson now that I'm just being grandpa and
That's
dad
so
and building
exciting.
my ranch. And yeah, life is really good. So just
Yep.
I'm all over the place. I'm
Yeah.
online, Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah.
SeanWhalen.com. I'm
Of
pretty
course,
easy to
I'll
find.
I'll make sure you're linked everywhere. Of course.
Beautiful.
All right, guys. So remember, being sacred does not mean being soft, and being savage does not mean being hard. It's really about knowing, when you need to pray and when you need to pull out the sword. So don't forget that. Thank you, Sean, so much for being here today. I really, really appreciate you, bud. And we should definitely do this again. Maybe we'll dive into those fun relationship sides of everything
Oh
we've
boy.
gone through. So
I'm here for it. Thank you for
awesome.
having me. Very
Thanks,
much
Sean.
appreciate it.
Thanks.